Okay, good morning again, once again. Same lesson, but different lesson. We are continuing with reducing numerical angles, but there will be two things really that are slightly different. And let's just discover it through an example. So sine 160, that was question D, okay, that I gave you, very cheekily. Didn't really done that, but some of you managed to do it anyway, which is quite impressive. So sine 160 or cosine 250. Now if you followed the rules that I told you, we'll say, right, sine 160, that lives in the second quadrant, so I'm going to try and write it as sine 180 minus 20, right?
Yeah.
Okay? And then cosine 250 lives here, so we're going to write it as cosine 180 plus 70. Okay? Is that right? And then there is sorry, I should put a minus here. No, just like that. For now, I'm not doing anything. Okay? Now I'm reducing it. Okay, so that's going to be sine 20, and in the second quadrant, sine is positive, so it's just sine 20. The answer is sine 20 at the top. And at the bottom, I'm going to have, right, cosine 180 here is negative, so I'm going to put minus cosine 70. Are you happy with what I've done so far?
Yeah.
Good, but there's a problem. In fact, there are two problems. First of all, the angles. What about the angles? They're not special, they're just boring, normal angles, nothing special about them. And there's no way for us to be able to know what is sine 20 with our calculator. We must use a calculator. So that's the one problem. But the second problem is that, well, you wouldn't really see what's the problem, is that we have two different angles, right? So what we don't want to do is punch that into the calculator. No, what we need to do is try and somehow manipulate them so we can start cancelling things out. What do we notice about 20 and 70?
Add up to 90.
They add up to 90. So we can write that down as a co-function, right? I can write, instead of sine 20, I can write down cosine 70, right? I know that sine 20 is equal to cosine 70. Why? Because the most important rule that we're working here now is that sine 90 minus theta is cosine theta. And the other way as well works. Cosine 90 minus theta is sine theta. Okay? So I can change that and turn it into cosine 70. Both of them are positive, so I don't need to add a plus or minus. Divided by minus cosine 70. What's the answer? Negative 1. Easy peasy.
I just learned a bit of the other way, so I'm about to...
There is a little bit of the other way. What you can do, and I'll show that to you. Probably I wouldn't go that way. I would try from the beginning. I'll write it again. Let's say I have sine 160 divided by cosine 250. Okay? Now I will start with one of them. Let's start with the bottom one. Okay? You can start with the top one, but you can do the bottom one. I would start as here. Okay? I would say, okay, that's going to be minus cosine 70, right? I skipped that stage. I said, okay, that's 180 plus 70, so it's going to be minus cosine 70. Now, already I see a non-special angle. If I see a non-special angle, in your mind you need to realize, I'm not allowed to put in the calculator. There's no special ratios that I need to remember. In other words, this must cross cancel somehow. So in other words, what I've got to have here is something, okay, with 70. I'm not going to use the black transformations, okay? I might have to use the red one, okay? So I need something with 70, not with 20, okay?
90.
How do I go from 160 to do it with 70? I can just do plus 90, right? Okay? That's how some of you figure it out, okay? Why are you doing that? Because I know once I've done that, I know I need 70 here. So I need 70 there as well. So I'm going to go with the red transformation, okay? So now, what is 90 plus 70, okay? Theta plus 90, it's a co-function. It's going to be cosine 70. Okay, that's what we did last lesson. Divide by minus cos 70, obviously you get the same answer. Okay, I'll pause here and let's do a more complicated example. Let's do a couple more examples. Okay, so we've got this expression we need to simplify. Sine 110, cosine 200, sine square 315. There's one special angle here. Which term is going to be the special angle? You need to start recognizing.
315.
315. Let's start with it. Okay? So I'm going to write the 315 as sine square 360 minus 45. Okay, you see, the more you do it, the easier it becomes to recognize. Okay, sine 110. Let's just see what we've got. I mean, we're in the second quarter. Okay? So I can write the sine
180 minus 40.
minus 70, I would say.
Oh yeah.
Yeah? Okay? Now, I ran out of space for our friend cosine 200, so let's just write in here. What will be cosine 200? Cosine 200 is here.
Plus 2.
So cosine
180 plus 2.
180 plus 20. Do you know what? The more I think about it, just go like that. Just go according to the rules of these transformations. Theta, 180 minus theta, theta plus 180. Just start like that and see what you get. Okay. Now, let's start with that. That is obviously sine 70. Do I need to put a plus, a minus there? No, because sine 110 is plus. Let's do this one now. Here I've got to write cosine 20. Do I have to put a minus in front?
No.
Third quadrant, so the answer is yes. Okay, third quadrant, cosine 200, here is negative, so I need to put a negative. And this is, I don't even care, because it's square, I don't care if it's plus or minus, it is going to be plus. Sine square 45. Are we happy with that? Okay. Alright. Let's start with sine 45. The sine 45, I'm writing it in the beginning, is basically 1 over square root 2 squared.
1 over 2.
1 over 2, you're right. Okay? Now here, they're not special, and they're not the same. But they are co-function. They add up to 1 to 90. So I can just need to replace one, swap the other one. Okay, so instead of sine 70, I'm going to write cosine 20, right? Sine 70 is equal to cosine 20. Okay, that's the most important one here. I'm going to write it again. Sine 90 minus theta is equal to cosine theta. And why is that good? How does that help me? Because this one I'll keep the same. Not doing anything to this term. This one is that. This one is that. What happens to them?
They
Cancel each other out, right? Cosine 20 minus cosine 20 is 0. So I'm just left up with this thing, which was already told us is, oh, yeah, it is half. It is half. Okay? Right. Pause, and we'll do one last example. Last example. Okay? Last example. Okay? Tan 240. I'm going to, really, the more I think about it, we just stick, first of all, with the usual reduction formulas. Leave the 90 for now. I know some of you like doing it for the beginning. I personally suggest just start with a simple one. 240 is here, so we're going to write it as 2 tan 180 plus 60. Okay. Sine minus 280. I will do it in 2 stages. First of all, if I have a negative angle of sine, like I've written it here, then the minus can just come out. So I'm going to multiply it by sine 280. In other words, take the minus out. We can do it with sine. Okay? Alright. Next. Tan minus 30. Again, okay? Tan here, that's negative angle, right? Tan here is negative. So it's going to be minus tan 30. I can do that with tan as well. Okay? Because tan is negative in the 4th quadrant. So I'm going to get the minus out. Cosine 370. What should I do with cosine 370?
360.
Anything you got, if you have something over than 360, you can peel 360 out. Okay? So I can, you know, let's do it in 2 stages. It's just 10, you're right.
Yeah.
But I'll do it in 2 stages. Okay? Because still we're just learning. Okay? Right. If I'm adding 180 to an angle, what happens to the tan? It's going to be positive, so it's going to be tan 60. Minus 280, okay, let's now reduce 280, okay? 280 lives here, so it's going to be 180 plus, no, it's not 180, sorry, 280 is here. 280 is in the 4th quadrant. So it's 360 minus 80, I think? So we're getting a little confusing. Yeah, 360 minus 80. Okay? Right. Slowly we'll get there. minus 2 minus tan 30. We can already write down what's tan 30. Tan 30 is 1 over square root 3. So minus, I'm not forgetting that minus, 1 over square root 3. Cosine 360, already told me you can write it as cosine 10 because we can always take out 360. That's the whole revolution. Okay, getting there. Tan 60, we know is square root 3. So square root 3, okay. I've got a minus. If you don't mind, I'm going to take that minus over there. No, let's keep him there. It's going to confuse you. Minus. Here I'm in the fourth quadrant. What happens to sine the fourth quadrant?
Negative.
It's negative. So in other words, negative times negative sine 80. So you're right, it's going to be positive. Okay? I'll just leave the two negatives for now. Okay, now we have minus 1 over square root 3. Just bear with me. Cosine 10. Okay, hang on. We'll take another 2 minutes. Okay? Right, first of all, let's figure out, is this whole thing positive or negative?
Negative.
Negative, because I've got 3 negatives, so it's going to be negative. 1 over square root 3, if I flip it, I time it by square root 3, the answer is going to be 3. And now I've got sin 80 divided by cosine 10. Surprise, surprise, what do these add up to? 90. So I can do a co-function here. Okay, we'll keep the 3. Which one do you want to convert? Which one should you want to keep?
The 2.
What do you want? I'll go with what you want.
Sine 80.
Let's keep the sine 80, sine 80. Okay? So instead of cosine 10, what can I write?
Cosine 10 minus.
Cosine 10.
Minus.
Minus 9.
So if I want to do the 90 minus 10, right? 80 is 90 minus 10. So it's going to be something 80. What 80? Sine. Okay? Cosine 10 is equal to sine 80. That's the whole principle here, right? Cosine 10 equal sine 80. Let's do a few more of those. Cosine 5 will be equal to sine 85. Sine 70 will be equal to
Cos 20.
cos 20. In your head, please. Boom, bam, boom.
Cancel ones.
Oh, that's actually.
Okay? Have a lovely day, guys. Take care, take care. Hang on, I need to give you homework.
Aye.